I'm here with Jin, head coach of the Seoul Infernal, at an interesting time, shortly before playoffs, and it got interesting for you guys towards the end of the season. I think, reasonably speaking, based on your record, you were probably the best APAC team this year. Maybe not necessarily knockouts, but there was also a good reason why it got a little dicey at the end, of course, with your situation with your player FiXa. But given all those circumstances, are you satisfied with your results this year?
First of all, I'm actually very satisfied with us advancing to the playoffs. At the end, we did struggle a little with the change of the meta, and it is a bit shameful, but yet we are now well prepping for the playoffs.
Awesome. In comparison, we talked to a bunch of other coaches. It seemed like this year was very stressful for various reasons, right? The outlook of the future, the rule situation, general meta switches, the competitive format. It all compounded in this being a very challenging season for teams. Is that also your experience with your team?
I don't think this season is particularly any stressful than the previous seasons, but of course there is some stress being the head coach. After being in this field for so long, I actually have endured and know how to relieve stress in a positive way, in my own way.
Sure. Now, of course, you had a very unfortunate event towards the end of the season where FiXa, who seemed to have a great season, especially I personally think much improved over the last year. And of course, whenever you lose a player this late, it's always really hard on the team. Can you explain what FiXa does to the team, what fans might not see in terms of the intangibles, how much of the calling he does, what he provides to the team, and how you're looking to, integrate Hyunjae into that?
When we're in the most important time of the season, we seem to we're colliding with issues such as like COVID, injury, and which has not been very easy for us. And I'm definitely devastated that Fixa had an injury, and he is definitely our main healer with great mechanics, and he has contributed so much to our team. Nonetheless, it feels like Fixa will be the one who is most upset than anyone else. And as of right now, Fixa is solely focusing on recovering. And the integration of Hyunjae. Hyunjae is now on board with us right now, and he is a better player than we had expected. He has been a great help to the team, and he is very well-rounded player with good call-outs, tracking ults, and also has very good personality, and he's fitting in really well with the team.
Nice. Now, you guys also went through the mid-season, and I'm not sure how much you're following the Western media, but it feels like there has been a lot of shade thrown from North American coaches, insiders on the APAC region and the competition in APAC. Does it feel like APAC is behind the North American region this year?
Well, it seems to be true that Apex teams were falling behind in this mid-season madness, as the result really shows it. But now I'm sure that we're not much different from NA region teams.
When I asked the head coach of the Dallas Fuel that question, Rush, he said one of the biggest problems for APAC was that they did not have the best team on that particular meta to practice against, which was the Atlanta Reign, and specifically Lip in his ability to place Sombra, of course. So do you think, like, if you had been able to practice more against Lip Sombra against the Atlanta Reign, that would have greatly improved you to also, bring you to the level of the play in North America?
I think okay. I really want to try English. I'm not
For
good,
sure.
but
Yeah.
yeah. I think before Madness mid-season meta is like in Sombra meta, right? Long time play Sombra meta, but so I think Leap and some NA teams like Houston and Mayhem, Atlanta, their individual performance and their Scrim quality is really good, I think. But Asia team is, I think, I can understand. Scrim 환경이 좋진 않았던 거는 맞는 것 같아요. 제 생각에는. 이것만 번역해 주세요.
Oh, he does agree with Rush that our Scrim environment was not that great as Western teams.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of Scrim quality, of course, you guys drew a pretty challenging bracket. So you have the Mayhem and the Outlaws in there, which is challenging. Then the Fuel, who, if we heard, if the comp we heard that is going to be meta is going to be played, then Hanbin is also going to be pretty good, and as well as DDPS. And you play those guys directly, meaning you probably don't want to practice against them right now, right? So what is the Scrim quality for you guys like right now? Are you struggling in Scrims? Or to get Scrims, rather?
To talk about the Scrim environment and our first match for the playoff will be with Dallas, and it's very unfortunate that we cannot scrim them as they're our first match. Right now we are scrimming with like Korean contender teams, and Korean contender teams are in season right now as well, and they have been putting a lot of effort in scrims. And they may not be as good as the league teams, of course, but given the environment, we're actually doing our best to prepare for the playoffs.
Right, makes sense. Now, we talked to the head coach of the Florida Mayhem, Gamba, and he said he understood why you guys didn't want to play the London Spitfire and therefore chose them, because he called them bracket terrorists, meaning because they play such a weird composition, you will be required to practice against that specifically, which kind of wastes all the time against the meta comp that you actually want to be practicing against in order to beat all the other teams at the event. Is that why you chose them first?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, very good.
This playoff season like really short, I think. So just we want to make good quality Scrim. So we choose London.
For sure. Now, of course, I think everyone was very surprised about you guys being able to pick first. But did you have a strategy to say, like, if we get a choice, then we're going to pick London?
I think 런던 왜 골랐냐고 물어본 건가요?
아니요, 이제 저희가 일단 1위 시드가 아닐 거라고 생각했잖아요.
아,
그래서 이제 그 전부터 이제 런던을 뽑으려고 했었는지.
yes. Because Hadi hammer is God. I'm scared him.
Very good, very good. Now, how do you like your bracket generally? I think your side of the bracket is generally understood to be the stronger one. I think the upper bracket is considered the weaker. Do you agree? And how happy are you with your bracket?
To be honest, I don't think London, I don't think Mayhem or Houston are. Sorry, let me rephrase that one more time.
Yes. I think same strong team. And Boston, Toronto, sorry, London, Atlanta, Houston, Mayhem. I think same. Same level team.
Okay, very interesting. Now, there is one circumstance in these playoffs that make it very unpredictable, I think. And that is namely that the league has allowed additional signings pretty late into the season based on the loophole of being able to sign players that didn't have active Overwatch League contracts. Of course, in the past, that was maybe less problematic, but this season, because, I mean, the contenders teams, especially in APAC, were able to have the Overwatch League experience for the most part, it feels a little different, especially if someone like Who Are You, who, you know, had realistically the chance to qualify, also gets to be traded. So what do you think generally of this rule that teams are allowed to sign these players that were in Overwatch League in some sense, but were on contenders contract?
As far as I know, the Overwatch League didn't allow teams to sign players this late into the season. But after COVID, the rule has been changed to help alleviate unavoidable situations. This rule change can be good or bad for some teams, but thanks to the rule change, we were able to recruit Hyunjae.
For sure, yeah. I think that's also one signing that fans are much less upset about. I think in those circumstances where a player clearly is injured or whatnot, and you still want to maintain the minimum roster slot requirements, I think that's not the controversial part. It's more about being able to pick that up, and I understand the differentiation because of COVID. Do you think it should only be allowed in those cases like Hyunjae, or let's say if a team was unable to secure a visa for a player to travel to Toronto?
I don't think it is fair to have late signings when it's not a unavoidable situation like someone's ill or someone got injured. Those situations. Truly, I feel like it could hurt the team or it could benefit the team. But in overall, I don't think it is fair to recruit a player at this late of the season.
For sure. Now, I think other coaches I talked to agreed with you greatly and thought that it was a really bad decision by the league to do this. But because they're competitors and they don't want to lose the playoffs, if this is allowed, they felt like they had to make substitutions as well. So there's a rumor out that you guys were looking at Protect from O2 Blast. Can you comment on this at all?
That is not true. I'm not sure from what source the rumor has been spreading, but it's not true.
Okay. Did you look at anyone else? Are you just bringing the players that we know about?
Yeah,
지금
no, we have,
현재 선수 말고 또 다른 선수들을 보거나 뭐 영입하려고 하시는 선수가 있을까요?
no more this season.
Okay.
Yeah, just we will focus just our players and our performance.
Now, if it's a Zarya meta, theoretically there's Poko, right? Are you
Okay,
going to
Meg
bring
can
Poko?
pick it. Don't worry. Meg and we have Poko. It's okay.
Is he flying over? Is he going to be in Toronto?
I can't say anything. Just no comment.
Okay, yeah, for sure. No,
But just Poko is our player. We can use him. I think anytime.
yeah, I understand you want to have the strategy that you're going to choose close to the chest, of course, and we'll respect that. Now, as a last topic, I asked all the other coaches to sort of weigh in on the awards season. I think it is always a controversial topic, especially in the Western scene, and I think it helps to have some expert input. So, in terms of the MVP, who would you say this season would be your choice in terms of the nomination for the most valuable player?
So I have been always keeping up with games across the league, watching the plays of the Western teams, and there's just so many talented players, and it is really hard to choose from. But wouldn't Lip receiving the MVP as he is from a team who won the mid-season madness, and hopefully we do well in this playoff. So Zest and also Skewed can win the MVP.
For sure. Now, the interesting part is I talked to some coaches, and some of them told me, I think Gamba said so, I think Junkbuck said so, they don't even think Lip is the best player on Atlanta. They were much more impressed by Stalker. What do you think about Stalker maybe being a better MVP choice than Lip?
건반아 정법 코치님.
다 이해했어요. I can
Okay.
understand everything. I don't know. Just I think Leap Sombra is very strong. People first season Madness. Yeah, I think Leap, not Stalker. Leap and Atlanta Fang 9, Chio and Builder is best. I think best in the world. I think now.
Sure. Do you think if Lip wasn't either in the league or in the APAC region that North America would have even played Sombra? Or did he make it so that the entire region played Sombra just because he was so much better at it?
Oh, I don't think so. Sombra is OP before
Okay.
Madness season. Yeah, not only Leap. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Now, there has been an interesting decision, and I think it's fine to do it that way. Of course, the Western audience didn't like it much, but I think it's also fair to give the APAC region some recognition in the best players there. So, from the APAC region, of course, I understand you always want to hype your own players, but if you couldn't say any of the role stars from your team, which I think a lot of those your guys will win it, but who were some of the players in the APAC region that you think deserve role star?
I think, of course, playoffs team, Hangzhou Spark and Dallas and us. Hanbin and Sparkle and Guche, Leap, Lengsa.
Okay. Of course, I think you're also burning to talk about your players. Was there any player that really stepped up for you guys who you think really deserves it this year?
Oh, Jest and Skewed. Jest.
Okay.
Yeah, other players is good too, but I love Jest. And then 2 years he played last year Overwatch League and this year too. He improved a lot, and personality and good teammate and good individual skill. Just is got. I would say just is got. Yeah.
I think it's very likely that he's going to win one of the RoleStar awards. So I think you're going to be happy there. Now, there is another award that I think people who vote have different ideas what it means. It's either of two choices, usually for people. It's either the coach of the best team, right? Or it's the coach of the team that didn't have much resources, but do very well with it. So last year it was Christopher, and he was someone whose team did very well with very little resources. The year before, it was Moon who won the league and had the best team, right? So with these two philosophies, usually people tend to vote. Now this year, yes, you could just say Gator, but at the same time, I feel like the Flora Mayhem also had a pretty good season. They won Pro-Am, and they have the same season score as Atlanta Reign. And from what we know, their budget is smaller, much smaller. Gamba says half as much as Atlanta Reign. I'm not sure if that's true, but let's say it is. Do you think... Who would you give it to? Is it Gamba? Is it just a lock-in? Or would you actually say it's Gator because they won mid-season, they're the best team?
Without me, right? Not me, right?
Be my guest. Be my guest. Yeah.
I think Akomba is good too, but I think I don't know. I like London Spitfire play style, and then so I think Christopher is the most likely to be the coach of the year. Yeah, he made it. Anyway, he made it the playoffs, and he is leading a really great team, I think. Yeah.
What do you like about the play style that you didn't want to play against them?
I love Hadi Hammer. and 갑자기 I forgot his name. May player.
Backbone.
Backbone. Backbone is good too. And then their Fang 9, Admiral. It's really good too. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think Reinhardt is going to be strong in this meta? Because last year, especially stage 1, stage 2, Gladiators switched up to the Ryan comp against the Zarya comp and had some success there, right? Is Ryan going to be good against Zarya?
I think kind of maps. Yeah, some maps is Reinhardt is good. Some map is Zarya is good, but I think London is can winnable every map. Yeah. Know what I mean?
For sure. Do you think we will have one comp played on, like, let's say 70% of all maps and it's really going to be dominant? Or do you think we will have a lot of variety and a lot of teams choosing their own styles, and maybe Zarya won't even be as, hard meta as we perceived it to be right now?
I think 60% is Zarya comp, and then 40%, and some team like London, they can play other comp like Reinhardt or sometimes dive comp like Winston or Doomfist. Yeah.
Sure. Given that information, if you had to pick a favorite, and of course, I think it's respectable that every competitor says we're going to win the grand finals. I guess then my question is, who's going to play against you in the grand finals? Who's going to be the favorite that isn't you?
이제 모두 다 본인이 이제 다 우승 후보가, 그러니까 그랜드 파이널 챔피언이 될 거라고 말을 하는데, 그 저희 상대로 같이 경기를 할 팀을 지목해 주세요.
London Spitfire.
Jesus, you're really a fan of Hadi, I guess.
I'm just kidding. I don't know now. I don't know, because this meta is last playoffs meta and 2 years ago playoffs meta is always same meta, right? Same meta last year, Lucio, Kiriko, Reaper, Sojourn, Winston. But I think this year is different meta. This meta is not same like last year. Last year is always same meta. So I think some team is play Zarya, some team play Lane, some team play, I don't know, other comp. So yeah, this meta is, and then not too long about practice time. So I don't know who make final. Who's make final.
Okay. One thing that when I talk to either players or coaches that are currently practicing in NA, it sounded like Atlanta is not the best team anymore. Does that surprise you?
Not surprised. I agree with them. Yeah.
Just because of the meta?
Yeah, I think so. And then before Sombra meta is they have really good Sombra player, and then good instant player and good Brigade Ana player. So I think they made it champion mid season. So I think this meta is not strong team Atlanta. But I don't know now.
Sure. I guess as a last question, could you describe what the next couple of days are going to look like? Like, I see you guys are still in Korea. When are you flying over to Toronto? And do you already know? Have you scrims booked and everything? Can we give some outlook? What's up next for a team for the Infernal fans?
We don't have enough time. Just I think we can scrim with NA teams 2 or 3 scrim block. I don't know. I think we can play more. Maybe, but only 2 days. So I can't say what team.
Do you guys at least get to hear what is being played over there in some way and can adjust to that? Because I feel like if you're just in your own little bubble and trying to figure it out without the information from the other region, that's going to be impacting your performance. Do you have some idea what's generally being played so you have an easier time catching up?
Are some players really friendly NA players? So sometimes we heard their screen meta. So I think 16-17% we already know their play style. I think, yeah, like Zarya, Genji, Sojourn.
Do you think that opens some potential for you guys to surprise with some other meta variation that they might not know about, and maybe you can surprise them?
I don't think not surprised. Just we already 예상했다고 영어로 뭐죠? 예상 이미 했었다. 네,
Predicted.
predicted.
Okay, sweet.
Mhm.
Then we thank you for the interview. Wish you the best of luck going forward. Of course, best of practice and also best of travel. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you so much.